Hello, this is cjhoyle, and welcome to day 7 of my solo paddling adventure on the Trent-Severn Waterway. I'm coming to you this morning from Burleigh Falls, where I camped last night. It was fairly chilly overnight. It's still a little bit chilly. I'm still wearing my long sleeves here, but I'm sure I'll be taking those off pretty soon once I get really moving. It also was a thunderstorm last night. Didn't really expect it. I mean, my phone predicted it was going to happen. There was a thunderstorm watch in effect, but based on the clouds and the wind and everything, it didn't really seem like it was really going to come. But I was careful and made sure I got everything so it's inside the tent and sort of ready for it. And when it came, it was all of a sudden just really strong winds and then really strong rain, and then the rain lasted for a few hours at least until I went to bed. As I said, I was able to get everything inside and keep it nice and dry. So now that it's nice and calm this morning, I'm just able to get out of that tent and get ready and get moving. So the sun is showing more of itself now, and I've got my tent taken down and most of my stuff placed over here. Now all that's left to do is to get the canoe in the water and get all my stuff into it and begin my day of paddling. So today I'll be canoeing south from here in Burleigh Falls down to the community of Lakefield. I'll begin by navigating through the many islands of Stony Lake until I reach Clear Lake. At the bottom of Clear Lake is Young's Point, where there's a lock that will take me into the Otonabee River. The river widens and becomes Kachawanuka Lake, but then narrows again just before the Lakefield Lock Station, where I'm planning on camping tonight. Alright, so as I say goodbye to Burleigh Falls, I've got my campsite fully packed up here, and it's all loaded into my canoe. And I'm heading off in that direction to make my way down Stony Lake. Yesterday my distance was only 12.5 kilometers, but today I'll be traveling nearly double that at around 24 kilometers. So over there's the bottom of the Burleigh Falls Rapids. Lots of water coming through. That's a very modern looking cottage, or maybe it's an Apple store. So this big island over to my right is called Fairy Lake Island. And I believe there is a pathway that I could canoe through it, between it and the mainland, but it looks like it might be kind of swampy. So I'm going to go all the way around, which is the official route of the waterway, and it'll also give me the opportunity to see a little bit more of Stony Lake. So I'm now out around Fairy Lake Island, and looking that way, that's where the rest of Stony Lake is. But I'm going to be following the shoreline around to the right. So as I continue to round my way around the island, I can see more of Stony Lake over that way. And if I were to continue that way, I'd eventually get into Upper Stony Lake. Unfortunately, I lost my sunglasses a few days ago, and this is one of those mornings when I really would appreciate having them. So as I make my way around the corner and through these narrows, I'm heading into what's called Clear Lake. And it looks like the wind is going to be against me on this lake. This is the St. Peter's Church on the Rock, a church located on a very small island. Well, the wind is definitely against me on this lake. I've just found a little bit of shelter from this island here, but once I get around this point, I'll be fighting those waves again. Thankfully, it's not that strong though, so it should be pretty manageable. Nothing like what I was fighting back on day 5. So I'm out past those islands now, and I'm working my way over towards that shoreline because it looks like it's a more sheltered shoreline. Well, as I was hoping, it's definitely calmer here on this shore. So before I round this point here and start fighting the weather again, I'm going to take a break here and have my usual breakfast. Some delicious overnight oats here on the water. Alright, breakfast finished. Now to go and fight some of those waves out there. So I'm following the shoreline here, and I'm about halfway down Clear Lake. And I have been fighting against the wind. It hasn't been that strong though. I checked my average speed on my GPS and it's showing as 4.0 kilometers per hour. And on a non-windy day, I can usually maintain about 4.5 it seems. So it is slowing me down a little bit, but not really too much. Not bad at all. It's a good day so far. So straight ahead over that way, I can see Young's Point, which is what I'm heading for. That's where the next lock station is. It's turned into a really cloudy day, including a couple of black clouds over there. I really wasn't expecting it to rain today, but I guess we'll see. So the Young's Point lock station is just around this corner, I believe. So I'm heading for the lock over that way, and over here is the Young's Point Marina, which at one point I thought I might stop for lunch at, but it's not even 11 o'clock yet, and I'm definitely not ready for my lunch. So I'll just make my way through the lock and continue my way across the next lake, and at some point after that I'll stop for my lunch when I get hungry. So there's the dam, and there's the lock. Alright, so they're opening the gate up for me. Alright, so I'm in the lock and beginning my way down. So the time is now 11 o'clock and I've traveled almost 14 kilometers so far. I only have about another 10 to go to get to Lakefield, where I'm heading today. This is another modernized lock which has the gates controlled by hydraulics. So making my way out of the lock, there's a bridge here that I'm going to go underneath of, and that's the bridge for Highway 28, which is the highway that also runs through Burleigh Falls, where I was camping last night. So I visited Young's Point a few times in the past and attended some family dinners at a restaurant which is just across there, across this bridge. The restaurant is called the New Bridge Inn. So after I get through these narrows, I'll be in a lake called Kachawanuka. So up ahead I can see a water tower in the distance, and I believe that's the water tower in Lakefield. And that's exactly where I'm heading. It's always nice to have a beacon like that to follow. Kachawanuka Lake seems pretty quiet today, but it's the Friday before a long weekend, so I won't be surprised if it's pretty busy tomorrow, although I won't be here to see it. That boathouse has seen better days. I wonder if it's the wakes that killed it. That big grassy area over there is Lakefield College, which is a private school, and one of their claims to fame is that Prince Andrew, a member of the royal family, briefly attended that school on an exchange program. So the time is about 12:45, and I've only got another 4 or so kilometers left to go, so I think I'll take a rest here in the canoe in this shaded spot from this island and have my lunch. On my sandwich today, I'm going to have a can of tomato and onion tuna. It tastes pretty good. I can see some other canoeists coming down the lake. So I had a chance to briefly talk to them, and their canoe says on it Port Severn to Belleville, and so that's essentially the entire Trent Waterway circuit. And so I got to talk to them, and today's day 6 for them, so they started a day later than I did, and they're definitely going at a faster pace than me. Here's a closer look at Lakefield College. So I've reached the point where the Kachawanuka Lake narrows down and becomes the Otonabee River, and I'm just about in Lakefield now. Well, the Lakefield water tower is certainly getting bigger. So Katchewanooka was the last lake that I needed to pass through, and now I'll be on narrow stuff like this in the Otonabee River for the next 2 days at least. So there's the dam for Lakefield, and the canal passes over here on the right. So my distance says 23 kilometers, and the time is only 1:30, so I've made very good time today, despite the headwind that I've been fighting for most of it. Over on the side of the canal I can see sedimentary rock, which means we're no longer in the Canadian Shield anymore. Back behind me I passed the bridge, which carries the main road through Lakefield. Down in a canal like this, there really isn't much of a factor from the wind. There's the other canoe. So I had a chance to chat with them a little bit longer this time, and they told me they started from Buckhorn this morning and are planning on continuing to the Nassau Mills Lock Station today. So I've got the canoe parked here, and I'm going to go and explore the lock station and find what the best place for camping might be. So I've scoped it out, and all the places for camping at this lock are up here at the top. The bottom is just some concrete docks. So my plan is to unload all my stuff up here. Most likely I'll probably camp somewhere over there. So I've got my tent set up over here, and I'm just going to go over to the washroom building over here and get cleaned up, because I've got some plans to meet up with some family this evening. So here's a closer look at the Lakefield lock. So you can see it's one of the older traditional style ones made out of wood with hand cranking mechanisms for opening the gates. And you can also see it's quite a deep one, quite a big elevation drop. So when I paddled in here, I first paddled over to the right side here, and I lifted all my stuff up, and I just left it sort of on the dock there so that I could later carry it over to my camping spot there. Then I paddled the canoe back to the other side where there's a kind of an easy place to get out, and then I was able to lift the canoe up on shore, and I portaged the canoe down this way, and I've locked it down over kind of on the right side. There's some trees there, and I've locked the canoe up to one of those trees, so in the morning when it's time to go, I'll be able to just bring my stuff down there, and I don't have to worry about getting down in the lock, because the lock doesn't open until 9 o'clock, and I like to get started earlier than that. So the town of Lakefield is over this way, and I'm going to make my way over that way. So over on the other side, that's the river that I came into town on, and there's the dam. And then looking down this way, you can see where the river continues. So basically the river takes 3 different paths there's the path that I took over there, which was for the canal. There's this middle part, and then there's this section over here. It's fed into a hydroelectric generating station. So I met up with my aunt and uncle and had a physically distanced early dinner where I ordered a bacon cheddar salsa salad. So after saying goodbye to my aunt and uncle, I stopped into the Foodland grocery store and stocked up on a few things. So on my walk back to the lock station, here you can see the natural course of the river, and then up there, that's the hydroelectric generating station, and the water that's coming through that, you can see the elevation difference from that concrete wall. That's going through that building, generating electricity, and the water is output down here. So there's my tent there, and for the first time on this trip, I'm not the only person camping here tonight. While I was in Lakefield, I made a stop at the Home Hardware and got some new sunglasses. These are actually tinted safety glasses, but I've been using these for years, this exact model, as my sunglasses. They work really well at blocking the wind from coming into your eyes, and the tinted ones, they work just like sunglasses. They shade the sun, and as you can see here, they're 99.9% UV protection. Not bad for just $11. This here is the top part of my pack, which I also use as a fanny pack when I'm walking around at night. And when I was grocery shopping, I discovered that the zipper here got broken and the zipper actually came off. But thankfully, got my little sewing kit here, so I'm going to try and stitch this up back together. Alright, so I've got it fixed. It's not pretty, but it's functional at least. And while I was doing that, some big clouds rolled in and the wind started picked up, so I think it might start raining, so I'm going to retreat inside my tent. So before I go inside the tent, I just wanted to walk down here to the bottom of the lock to check and make sure the canoe is still where I left it, which it is. So as it turned out, nothing became of those high winds and black clouds, so I'm going to walk back to Lakefield now and get some ice cream. Well, maybe I spoke too soon. There were a few raindrops, but most notably there's a double rainbow. So here I am at the ice cream place. They have lots of the Kawartha dairy flavors to choose from. So I ended up getting tiger tail ice cream, which is a combination of orange and black licorice. And on the bottom I also got some birthday cake ice cream. And I also got a brownie too. This is the downtown of Lakefield that I visited earlier when I was with my aunt and uncle. This is the place where we stopped for dinner. It's called the Nutty Bean Cafe. Right across the street from it is the Home Hardware where I got my sunglasses. Lakefield is home to the Christ Church North Douro Anglican Church, built in 1853. Here's the old police station and the old town hall building. According to the plaque there, it used to be a post office. So back here at the same spot where I was earlier, and the rainbow is gone, but it's been replaced by a beautiful looking sunset. By the way, that tall tower in the middle there, that used to be an old cement plant. Alright, so I made it back to the lock station now, and that'll pretty well do it in terms of day 7 of my trip. My total distance today was around a little bit more than 23 kilometers, and it was a relatively difficult day. Not really though. I think after doing those, the 29 kilometer day and the 27.5 kilometer day, anything after that just seems like a walk in the park. And I arrived here quite early, like 2 o'clock, or not like before 2 o'clock, and I just feels pretty easy. I mean, I'm enjoying it, but I don't feel the same kind of challenge that I was feeling maybe earlier in the trip. Now that I'm through all of those big lakes. But yeah, so it was a good day of paddling. Enjoyed it. Enjoyed seeing those new lakes. Also really enjoyed getting to see my aunt and uncle here in town for dinner, and we got a chance to sort of walk around the town a little bit as well. I also really enjoyed meeting that other couple who were, canoeing the system as well. The ones with the canoe that said Port-Severn to Belleville. And so I got to see them briefly on the lake, and we were, just had a few words exchanged. And but they were obviously paddling at a much faster pace than I was. It really does make a difference having 2 people in a canoe compared to just one. And they were obviously moving a lot faster, so I didn't want to hold them up, but just because we got a few words in and said, okay, well, have a good trip, and then I just let them sort of go. And but luckily enough, they were here, at the dock when I arrived here at the lock, and I had a chance to have a much longer conversation with them and sort of compare notes. So today was day 6 for them. And they started from Port Severn, so they've done like probably more than double the distance that I've done already. They're obviously moving a lot faster than me, doing much longer days than me. And now they've passed me, and I'm sure I'll never catch up with them again. But just really interesting, sort of comparing notes about what they've seen, what I've seen. Similar to me, they're sort of a little bit foggy on some of the details. The kind of the days just sort of run together. The different lock stations that you stay at sort of blend together. They're all kind of pretty similar, similar setup, just sort of a brick building with a washroom in them, and and then just the things in the towns. When I was with my aunt and uncle, we were talking a lot about the places I'd seen too, and I was just sort of like, wait, was that Fenland Falls or was that Bob Cajun? Just they all sort of blur together in my mind because I've just been doing this. Today's day 7, so it's now been a full week that I've been out on the water, but I've been absolutely enjoying it, and looking forward to tomorrow, where I will start down there in that water, and I'll canoe my way towards the city of Peterborough and go through several locks on my way to get there, and also through several locks in the city of Peterborough, and I'll be camping in Peterborough tomorrow night. But anyways, I hope you enjoyed joining me for day number 7. If you watched all the way to the end of this video, I'd love to hear your thoughts in the comment section below, and thanks for watching.